Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo artisans. We're going to take a look at the charts here before the week gets started. We're going to take a look at Nasdaq, USD, JPY, Bitcoin, EURUSD, AUDUSD, XAU, USD, which is gold. So we're going to take a look at these futures charts because these are the ones that I find very tradable right now. Get your free algo. Link is in the description. We'll also send you some updates as far as when I'm going to do a free workshop where you get to watch me trade for a number of days. Let's take a look at the news before we get into the charts. Now, the economic data that's going to drop this week is pretty quiet. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. EST, we have a lot of Aussie cash rate monetary policy stuff. So if you are trading the Aussie at the end of the Asian session or before the European session, then that could push the Aussie markets around. Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. EST, we have Canadian CPI. Wednesday at the European Open, 2 a.m. EST, British CPI. Thursday, Euro PMI, the French is at 215, German at 230, and the British at 4:30 a.m. EST. Thursday, 9:45 a.m. U.S. unemployment and PMI. So a lot of manufacturing data and services data coming out on Thursday. The G7 meetings are going to be going on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if any major news comes out of that, which it could in the current environment, you might get a lot of volatility, which is great, but you also might get stopped out of your trade, or it might take you to profit. But understand the G7, it's labeled as a yellow envelope event, but if Trump says something, it could push markets around. It's just, that's part of the reality of trading these days. It's just the G7 kind of heightens that possibility. The last bit of economic data coming out is on Friday. We have the European Open, 2 a.m. EST, GBP retail sales, and then at 8:30 a.m. Canadian core retail sales, all coming out. Let's go ahead and jump into the charts with the Nasdaq. Now, the Nasdaq's going to have a lot to do with what happens with Bitcoin, with USDJPY, and pretty much everything else, but especially those things. That's why I have been doing the Nasdaq first, because it is pushing Bitcoin around to a certain degree, certainly having an influence on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been rather bullish, an interesting chart to watch nonetheless, but I think the Nasdaq, you might get a surprise push up. The algos do look a little bit bearish short term, but the reality is, yes, there was a big gap down. If you look at the market open here, you can see there was a gap down, but it's already coming up to meet that gap. And I just think we're going to see sideways until it pokes up again, kind of like a distorted bull flag, which tends to be pretty bullish. Higher highs, higher lows, eventually breaks out upwards. We could get a Monday morning breakout to the upside, which is why I have this dotted line. But if this were to do what the algos kind of say it's going to do, I would expect sideways to up. Just like I've got in the chart, there is always that chance that because things are bullish against resistance, price does reject and go sideways a little bit longer. But right now the Nasdaq is simply bullish, so unless some kind of news changes that, we can expect the Nasdaq to go ahead and reapproach its all-time high, which is about 22,440 or so. And that might happen this week, next month, who knows? Usually the smart money sells in May and goes away, and you see a bit of a dip through the summer. That's usually what happens, but we are not in the usual world. Just the same sell in May, go away could apply. So all of those things that I said, apply that to the rest of the charts. Here we go next with USDJPY. Now, USDJPY I've been watching really closely. It's actually been a bit of a predictor for the stock markets. And the reason I think that is because the JPY, Japanese yen, is a liquidity solution for global equities markets. When money floods into the JPY, this chart tends to go down. This head and shoulders that I painted on here, or I should say really that the chart is about to paint, it's not complete. So I'm only putting that on here, understanding that we do not have a true head and shoulders just yet. We got really close, but price has not met the neckline on the right shoulder. But if it does, that could be an indication that price goes down, and we can make use of these natural head and shoulders targets, which are at about 143.69 JPY and 142.38 JPY respectively. The Sunday open did gap down significantly here, just like it did with the Nasdaq, and it does want to continue down, but understand that algorithmically we could see price not go all the way down to the 1.618. We could just see it bounce right at the 143 and then come back up. That does sometimes happen with these head and shoulders, and a lot of times Sunday opens are a bit more extreme. They're meant to kind of fool people who are watching the futures open, and then Monday goes in the opposite direction. But given that the algos that I'm seeing are going to rule price as opposed to news or something else, I do expect a slide down here. Okay, Bitcoin has given us a wild ride the last couple of days, which is why I have not really been day trading Bitcoin, especially in the chop like this. It's been real choppy going back to early May, and chop is not all bad. Chop can be traded. I just don't trade it. I did expect it to head up, but it really popped up far more quickly than I thought it would, right? So I originally drew this prior to the market open, and price really just went up pretty hard. So that does tell me that, and also the algos tell me that it's pretty bullish. However, I thought maybe we might see rejection before price goes up, but at the current rate, it might be the price actually does continue up and just does what I thought it would do sooner than I thought it would do it. I would not be terribly surprised to see Bitcoin reapproach the high of about 109,500. However, it might be a bull trap. There are a lot of things to consider. What I can say is that the algos are sort of touch and go. Bitcoin could continue up in a big way, or it could just reject and go sideways. We have to see how price behaves at these resistances, and the first resistance that matters is where price is literally right now, which is 105,800. And to look at the algos here, I would say it's probably going to go up. By that same token, it could reject at any time as well. So I expect price above 105, maybe not above 109. And it may happen this week if it does go above 109 or not, but I do expect above 105. I mean, technically it's already there, but above this resistance, which is almost 106. Let's take a look at the euro. Okay, so the euro, it gapped up just like the other charts gapped down, and for a similar reason. I expect the euro to touch here at 112.69, but the euro has had a major move up that was really not natural, and I do expect the trend down to continue. It just might go sideways for a minute before it heads back down. It could stop going down at 111 USD by the end of the week, 111.29, or it could dump down to this support at 110.60. Let's take a look at AUDUSD. Now, I have been enjoying trading this. The signals have been pretty clear. The volatility has been pretty good on the low time frame this week, so I am continuing to look at it, but I do expect right now some sideways action. We might see it stay in this range that it developed in the past here. It could pop up, could even go below. A lot of it has to do with the Aussie news that's coming out. So with the Aussie data coming out, I would not be trading this until that data is long past, unless I were scalping, which I do, but I expect sideways until not. And I do think there is some bullishness left on the higher time frame. We're going to have to see that as it occurs, but a breakout above 65 cents, that's 65.17 cents, that would signal the possibility the price will continue up for the meantime. Let's take a look at gold. Gold showing some resilience. I do expect it to reject, but the way it's moving up right now, looks like there was some kind of geopolitical news. Price may still reject at 32.59 because there's a lot of precedent for that, a lot of price bouncing around just at that price, as you can see right here, here, there, here, there, and there, and pretty much there. So it would not surprise me to see this move up on gold being Sunday jitters and possibly reject somewhere around 32.60 and then head its way back down to reapproach 3100. We're going to see though. Gold has been very, very bullish. It might be that the move down to 3100 was it and it wants to continue up, but I do think gold's going to head down. As to whether it heads down as quickly as I charted it, we're going to see. And a lot of that's going to depend on geopolitical events, and we do have the G7 this week. Now, I usually chart silver, but silver has been stuck in a range forever, and it's just not that interesting. It's just hanging around like $32 and not doing that much, and we talk about every week why that is. We're going to go ahead and end it here. If you've looked at past weeks, you can see it. I'm pretty good at predicting these. These predictions on these charts are not really for trading. These are just for knowing which way the wind is blowing as I trade, and then as the week goes on and we get news and things form up, I'm actually going to do a lot of live trading. So please pay attention to the live channel. I'm getting started early Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday. So far, I've been starting as early as 7 a.m. EST. Do a pre-market analysis. I do tend to go and do the private live lab on those days. So I leave and then I come back right about the time the market opens and I do more live trading. So please pay attention to that live channel. If you want more info, like a free algo, click that link in the description. Give us your email, give us your name. Doesn't have to be a real name. You could call yourself John Jacob Jingleheimer, and we're still going to send that stuff to you. So we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you all for watching. I hope this is helpful. AlgoFactory.tech. Learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro, and we will see you bright and early Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thanks for watching.